Have you ever wondered, what is the foreclosure process? Well, I hope not, but if you have, this video is for you. So we're in a crazy market right now, and it has been going up like gangbusters, right? Your home value over the last 12 to 18 months has probably gone up anywhere in the range of 15 to 20%, depending on where you live in the US. So most people right now are not in a situation where they could be foreclosed on. Why is that? Because nobody who has a home right now wants to be foreclosed on, because your home is worth way more than it was even just a year ago. So you would hate for the bank to take over your home and you lose all of that equity that is now in your house. So what do most homeowners do? Whatever they can to make their mortgage payments. But if this is you, or you're just curious about what the process is, I want to go over some steps on what that looks like from the bank's perspective on taking your home into and through the foreclosure process. Now, my first disclaimer is this: I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer. I'm actually just going to read quite a bit here off of a website that is a lawyer that deals primarily in real estate law for the state of Florida. So that's my disclosure. This may not apply to every state, but for Florida, this is pretty accurate for what you would deal with in the steps of the foreclosure process. If you have more questions on this, talk to an attorney or someone who is a professional in the field of foreclosures, and that even more so deals with the law side. If you need help connecting with one of those, I have two here in Southwest Florida that would be glad to talk with you about this type of situation. So let's jump right into the Florida Guide of Foreclosure Process. The number one thing that I see here is the borrower begins missing payments. So you, as the homeowner, you start to miss payments. Now, if you've ever missed a payment, or your bank forgot to do the withdrawal, or your check got lost in the mail, you probably got a notice from your bank or your lender pretty quick. Typically on the 15th of each month is when your payment is finally due. Even though it says the first, a lot of them will give you till the 15th or the 18th of every month to have that turned in. If you don't, you will see a notice from your lender within usually 30 days notifying you that your payment was missed. Now, this is just the first step in the foreclosure process, even though it's not really even part of the foreclosure itself. Because as soon as you make that payment, it starts back at square one again. You are back on good terms with your lender. The second step after you've missed that first payment is this, and I'll read it from the site. It's called a pre-foreclosure loss mitigation period. And this is a foreclosure lawsuit. It cannot actually be filed until the debtor has been delinquent for at least 120 days. So you basically have to miss 4 months of payments before they can actually move to this next step. Up until then, the lender only option for recovering the debt is to issue a breach letter and contact the borrower. So they may harass you, but they cannot move to this second step of pre-foreclosure loss mitigation until they hit that 120-day mark. Now, during this period, you, the debtor or the borrower, should discuss any potential loss or mitigation options with the loan service provider, such as maybe you just do a loan modification, or maybe there's a short sale option for you. So these are some options that'll help keep you out of the foreclosure process. Number 3, you probably should meet with a foreclosure defense attorney. If a foreclosure alternative is accepted, the process could be brought to a halt at any step. Therefore, meeting with a foreclosure defense attorney early on is advisable for debtors seeking to avoid having a foreclosure on their record. While an alternative is not always viable, exploring such options is always beneficial. At the very least, a lawyer can represent the borrower's interests throughout the process and ensure the best possible outcome for you. Number 4, the lender files a default. Now, here's what that looks like. This step begins the foreclosure process, notifying the debtor that a civil complaint has been made against them. Essentially, it officially declares that the borrower is in default due to the missed mortgage payments. Again, 4 mortgage payments, 120 days. Step 5, filing of the summons and complaint. Next, the summons and complaint is filed with a lis pendens, which indicates that litigation is pending. This formally begins the judicial foreclosure process, which means the action will be publicly recorded. The complaint is usually hand-delivered by the sheriff or the county where the homeowner resides. Now, a quick point here, a lot of times I have clients that will call, text, or email me and ask me, John, why is this home on Zillow showing as foreclosed or in the foreclosure process? It's because this step has been done. It has been publicly shown and taken care of by the lender, but it doesn't mean the home is actually foreclosed on yet. Step 6, the debtor answers. Now, the defendant in the foreclosure case, which is you, the borrower, will have 20 days to provide an answer to this complaint once it's given, which must be filed with the clerk of court. This is where a defense can be raised, and thus it is advisable for the debtor to have this drafted by an experienced foreclosure defense attorney. Again, if you need help with that, I know two here in town. Without an answer, the process will proceed to the summary judgment without the borrower having the opportunity to plead his or her case. So even at this point, look, we're 4 months past plus 20 days, you still have opportunity as being foreclosed on to stay in your home. Number 7 is the motion for summary judgment. At this point, the lender will likely motion for a summary judgment to avoid formal or court proceedings. If the judge rules in favor of this motion, whether because the defendant did not file to answer in a timely manner that it was deemed to be insufficient, both parties can present their cases in the summary judgment hearing. So there's a hearing that takes place, and upon this hearing conclusion, a judgment will be issued. Step 8, foreclosure trial. Now, if the motion for summary judgment is not granted, the foreclosure trial will commence. If the defendant has not already done so, it is advisable to enlist an attorney to plead his or her case. Do you see a theme here? Get an attorney. Once both sides represent their arguments, the foreclosure judge will issue a ruling. Step 9, foreclosure sale. If the judgment is in favor of the lender, the property will be scheduled to be sold at auction, which typically occurs a few weeks later. Once it sells, the title will be issued to the new owner and the debtor will be evicted from the home. Step 10, deficiency judgment. Now, here in the state of Florida, lenders have the option to seek deficiency judgment for the dollar amount that was not covered by the property sale. If the debtor has enlisted a qualified attorney, this step could be avoided. Are you getting a note here of get an attorney? If you are struggling to keep up with mortgage payments and have questions about Florida foreclosure process, please reach out to an attorney. And again, if you do not have one, I can give you a couple suggestions of guys that I know here in the area who are fantastic at what they do. I'm John C. here in sunny Southwest Florida. Before you click off this video, do me a favor, click the like and subscribe button below. I would love to hit that 100 mark of subscribers here soon, and we are getting upon that. Are you gonna be the 100th subscriber? Also, if you have any questions, comments, post those in the link below. I would love to hear from you and have a little conversation with you there as well. I'm John C. here in sunny Southwest Florida. Have a great week.